Hi, this is JP Morgan.
And this is Kenneth Merrill.
Today on the Slanted Lens, we're here at the Sony event where they just introduced the new A6400.
It's a new vlogging sort of camera, like a mid-level APS-C camera.
Absolutely. With some really interesting auto eye tracking, animal eye tracking features, which are new firmware updates that they're going to have for the A9 and for the A7 III and the A7R3. So those we're going to talk about a little bit, but we're also going to see how those work in this camera.
Yeah, this camera has all those features built in, and it also has a flip-up screen in the back so we can see ourselves while we hold the camera.
So we can vlog. So let's get started, see what we can do. Let's give a shout out to Borrow Lenses, a great support here to the Slanted Lens. Great place to go to be able to rent a piece of equipment like this, check it out, see if it works, and be able to get something that, you know, you're not sure if you want it or not, or you need it as an extra camera. Great place to try it out at Borrow Lenses. Okay, so Kenneth, what do you think about this camera, the A6400?
You know, the thing I've always loved about these A6000 series cameras is it's just so much camera in the tiniest little, pretty dang affordable body. I mean, this is a 24 megapixel sensor. It is a crop sensor, but still 24 megapixels, shoots 11 frames per second, which is as just fast as all the 5Ds and Nikons do.
So you got a pop-up screen, 4K video.
I am bummed about the image stabilization. That seems kind of like a weird omission.
It'd be nice if it had image stabilization. I don't know why that's been admitted, but it certainly it's something that's lacking. It's funny because this camera is so tiny.
When you throw a 24-70 like this on there, I feel like you lose all the advantages of the compact camera because it just turns awkward and heavy and
big. It really does. It really does. Actually, the 2470 that Tamron makes, the 2875 on this would be a really nice lens for this camera because it's smaller, more compact, and that's a great lens actually, affordable, very reasonable price.
One thing that really bugs me about this camera is the buffer time when it's writing to the card is insane.
It's like, a little slow.
You take one photo and you have to wait 5 seconds before you can review it. At least that's how it felt.
Yeah.
So that kind of drives me crazy. I mean, you can shoot 11 frames per second, which is amazing, but you're gonna have to wait a minute before you can look at all your photos. So
I don't know about a minute, but a long time, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You're gonna be shooting, you have to wait for that to buffer, and it takes a long time for it to buffer. If you're a wedding shooter and you're shooting on A7 IIIs, this is a great second camera, third camera, stick in the corner in the wedding ceremony. You know, it's just a great backup camera for that because it's small, compact, easy to carry with you, and inexpensive. And it's interesting because it seems like for the other cameras, the A7R, A7R3, the A9, is that they're kind of upgrading those cameras and you don't have to pay for it. That's a really nice feature.
Yeah. It's really nice.
So there you go, A6400. All right, so we've been outside shooting with this camera all day long, outside in the rain.
In the rain.
In the rain, and rainy San Diego.
Not weather sealed, this camera.
No,
don't do
I would guess that it is not. Not that we ruined the camera or anything, we made sure it was very dry. But we've been shooting with it now, and we can just take a look at the footage and just see what the images look like that are coming off of this A6400.
The autofocus, of course, was a big one. Most of our images were just testing out the new autofocus capabilities because honestly, I feel like with the Sony cameras, you kind of know what you're going to get image-wise. They all look really good. They all have kind of similar dynamic range and stuff, but this new autofocus thing was a little different.
The one thing we learned when we went to the real-time autofocus was that we had to put it in the menu, put it on responsive, and it responded a lot quicker and did a lot better. It was really much better after we did that.
I'll be honest, when we're talking about just models walking towards us, we did this a couple times, had people walking towards us with it on. It did really good. Did it do way better than the A7 III or the A7R3 or the Nikons that we've tested? I don't know. It did, you know, at least
pretty good.
Yeah. It was pretty dang good when we were shooting like the seagulls and the basketball players. I mean, you look at some of these images of basketball players, and there's one here where the guy is kind of completely blocked by other players.
Disappears.
And yet the camera still managed to keep the focus on him.
Picks him back up when he comes back out.
It doesn't always work that way. But sometimes it does, and that's pretty cool. I liked that, you know, we've had problems with the eye autofocus in the past. When the subject's far away, it can't figure out, you know, what the eye is and stuff. I like this because it would go from just focusing on a whole person or their face
to
their eye in the same composition. So that was nice. We should also mention that it has the real-time autofocus in movie mode as well. I played around with it a lot. It works okay sometimes, but there were other times, like with the snow falling and the samurai and stuff,
would catch
the
things.
snow was really messing it up. And also, if your subject dips out of frame for just even half a second, it loses.
It's gone.
I mean, which I don't really know what to expect, but you know, if you're shooting video, I still wouldn't use the autofocus.
Manual
That's just
focus.
kinda, yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing, if you're into time lapse, which I am, I love doing time lapse, is this has a built-in intervalometer, so you can do time lapse with this and not have to have another piece of equipment that you plug into it to be able to make it work.
I think this is such a great update for the firmware for all of their cameras. Just the other day we were shooting a time lapse. I said, "Oh, doesn't that do it internally?" And he's like, "Oh no, I have to go get the intervalometer in the car that's a quarter of a mile away." You know, so.
But as far as also, we did several images of just skin tone and not at a low ISO. I mean, these were 1600 ISO,
yeah.
and they looked pretty darn good. The girl in the Japanese makeup was really pretty. The skin tone is it looks like Sony. It's got that. It's got a nice roll off. It's a little bit yellowish, but not terrible.
Not terrible.
Yeah, not terrible at all. I mean, it was a very nice look.
I actually usually in general prefer the Canon look because I feel like that's where I come from and I'm used to that color. I think it's really flattering on skin and stuff. But I do kind of like Sony's rendition of color because it feels very true to life for the most part. You know, you look at the image and that is pretty much what it looked like when I was standing there. And so you can kind of push it whichever direction you want to go from there.
Really gave you the image, a clean color shot of the image. So we were not using any, just standard profiles. We weren't doing anything to the profiles.
And we had all the noise reduction turned off for this because we're only shooting JPEGs. We don't have access to the RAWs.
Yeah, the RAW is not out yet. It's
not supported.
Not supported yet by Adobe, so you can't process the RAWs yet.
I gotta say, just looking at the portraiture from this camera, it looks really nice. I mean, it is a crop sensor, so you're not going to get the same shallow depth of field you would with an A7 III or an A7R III or whatnot. But other than that, I mean, it looks really nice. You could easily shoot professional portraits, you know, on this camera, and it only costs $900. So
yeah, that's absolutely amazing, actually. Just some stuff on long lens where we got that 70-200. You see her with the kind of graffiti in the background and the reflection in the water, and those look really pretty. They really do. At 2.8, so wide open, so the background's going to fall out of focus pretty quickly. And it doesn't fall out of focus as quickly as a full frame. I mean, you can see that there. It just doesn't.
I feel like you really have to decide, do you need that? You know, not
Do you
everybody,
like it?
not
Do you want
everybody needs the super circular, mushy background, you know. Is that your style? I mean, I shot some of these images with a 24-1.8, and it's like, if your style is shooting on a wide lens and you're not looking for a super creamy background, then a camera like this will be just fine for you. Yeah.
So the question always comes up, you know, what's the ISO like? You know, what can you shoot? I mean, it is a 24 megapixel sensor, so it's not going to have the same responsiveness ISO-wise as A7S.
Like an A7S or something, yeah. It's and it's a smaller sensor, and it does have the new processor though. I think that helps out a bit. We were shooting these images at 6400 ISO. Some of them are 3200 ISO. Well, you look at the image of the guy in the bar playing guitar, and it looks really good at 6400 ISO. Because there's a lot of light going on.
You got a lot brighter light there. You're not just dealing with the whole all dark, muted.
Yeah. But in those muted shadows, it gets a little sketchy. You got red noise, and it's it's not too good.
It's 6400. You know, I mean, 3200 actually looked quite a bit better.
3200 does look better. I would say I would try to avoid anything over probably 2000, even if it's pretty casual, like event stuff. I don't know if I'd want to shoot anything at a wedding over 2000 on this camera.
Yeah.
Unless I really, really had to. As opposed to an A7S, you know, I'd shoot that at 3200 any day. So
really the question is, who is this camera for? You know, what's their market here? And it's an interesting market because the only difference between this, the A6400 and the A6500, is image stabilization.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, really, and the Sony guy told me this directly, said if you don't need image stabilization, then this camera's better.
Yeah, it specs out better on several different levels. So it's kind of it's better than the A6500, but it doesn't have image stabilization.
But the thing is, too, most of their lenses have some form of stabilization as well. So I feel like I think I would pick this camera over the A6500 for the price.
Yes.
Save a little bit of money, get better image overall.
Better autofocus.
Better autofocus. Yeah, I would pick this over that. The question is, do you go with this or do you go with something like an 80D from Canon or a D5300 or, you know, those other brands crop sensor cameras? And that really comes down, in my mind, it comes down to a system question. Not just what lenses are you using, but do you want a mirrorless camera or do you want a DSLR?
But the other cameras that are out there on the market that are offered, and Canon and Nikon, they do not have the autofocus capabilities. They don't have the edge-to-edge ability to focus out, and not even close. We're talking like 40 plus autofocus points.
And they're all in the middle too.
Right
they're
in the
all
middle.
in the center third.
Yes. I mean, so with regards to autofocus and how it fills the frame, there is nothing better than that camera
in that
price range. There's just nothing that's going to
agree.
compete with it. It really isn't. So
Totally agree.
So there are some things about the camera that I think maybe could be improved, maybe fall a little bit short.
Yeah.
The image stabilization, I just don't quite understand, because as a vlogging platform, it seems like you would want that to be able to vlog with.
I also, again, I mentioned this earlier, the buffer thing drives me crazy. Just so long.
So long. If you shoot a bunch of frames at 10, 11 frames a second, all of a sudden you're waiting for minutes to look at it.
And you can't do anything with the camera while it's doing that. You can't change any settings or anything. The other thing is there's no scroll wheel on the front. I know this is standard for their A6000 series, but it's always bugged me. No scroll wheel on the front of the grip really drives me crazy, because it changes the way that you work with the camera completely. Yeah.
Because you've got a wheel for your aperture, but then you got to jump down. You got a scroll wheel on the back for the aperture, but you got to jump down to the circular wheel to change your shutter, and
that's normally the ISO, so it's a little confusing.
And it does do the ISO if you hit the side of it, you know. And so I was like, you know,
it goes back to the not having enough real estate, not enough buttons and stuff.
Yeah, very small camera, trying to get everything compacted on that small body. So. This screen, a pop-up screen, I think is great and it's really needed, but I wish it kind of got over the top of this viewfinder a little bit. I felt like you're kind of having a hard time seeing it over the camera, and especially if you put a big lens on it, get things to focus.
Yeah. Well, those are just a couple things. Overall, a really nice camera, kind of knocks it out of the park for the price bracket.
It really truly does. I think it's a good offering at the price bracket. So hopefully you're enjoying the things you're getting here in the Slanted Lens. Please subscribe to our channel and make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram, all the different platforms. We have great content coming all the time. Make sure you join our Facebook group. You can post images there and get feedback. Just become a part of our community. Great place to go to be able to learn about photography and video techniques. Also, we have a video download at our store.
Yeah, we just launched this video download where we teach you all about the basics of shooting video if you're coming at it from a photographer's standpoint. It's really about investing in your business, because video is a booming industry. Everybody needs video these days, and you don't want to have to turn that job down because you don't know how to do it. So we teach you not just what settings and stuff to use on your camera, but how to set up and get good audio. That's a huge hurdle to overcome. Lighting, shooting, producing, all those kind of basics you need to get going.
So go to theslanted.com, click on the store, and you can buy your video download there. It'll be a great investment for you to help you to kickstart that video career. If no one's asked you yet, they're going to ask you soon to do video, because it just comes up. That's the way it is. So thank you very much for joining us today, and keep those cameras rolling.
And keep on clicking.
Thanks to our sponsor, Borrow Lenses, where you can get this equipment if you want to check it out and just see what you like. If you need an extra piece of equipment for a shoot that you're doing.
Yeah, I love it, because like I'm doing a shoot this weekend out of town, and we don't have to rent the gear and take it with us. We can just have them ship it straight to the hotel. We'll be there when we get there.
Which is a perfect way to work, because you get the equipment where you're at, ship it right back to Borrow Lenses, and it just works great for a shoot. It's also great if you need an extra lens, if you want to check out a camera like this to see if you want to buy it. It's a great way to check out things before you make the purchase, so Borrow Lenses.